Greetings, traveler. I'm SnapJelly. It's Monday night. It's 10:30 in the evening. I'm in my bathrobe because I just got out of the shower, and my neighbors are probably trying to sleep. What better time than this to make a video? Today I wanted to talk about this sword that I have quite recently purchased and unpacked. In fact, it was my previous video in which I unpacked this. I wanted to talk about this because, in all honesty, quite simply, I am very happy with this purchase for two reasons. One is how it functions, and two is the price. Because basically, if you didn't see my last video, I got this sword because I wanted to see if there were very affordable swords out there that would function quite well besides the Hanwei Tinker Pierce. And I'm simply very happy with this. So I would say people who don't want to spend a lot of money and they want to get into HEMA and they for some reason have a bias against fader shreds because I don't want to use a fader, I want to use a real sword. Alright, you fucking half-wit. Fabri Armorum is a good place to get your sword, alright? Now I'm gonna be honest. There's a few things I don't particularly like, not per se about this sword, but about Fabri Armorum in general. And one is their swords tend to be on the heavy side, which is not necessarily a bad thing. You could deal with it depending on what sword it is. It might be more of an issue or less of an issue. But, you know, just for you know, the weights of the swords are all on the website if you order a sword from them. But just so you know, their swords tend to be on the heavy side. Now, two things that I want to say that I don't really appreciate about the sword. One is the wrapping. This is kind of pathetic. I don't know how well the camera will pick that up, but this is already coming loose. You can see the wood underneath there. Yeah, this is not gonna hold up and it's gonna come loose quite soon, and I'm gonna have to wrap it with something else, which is not a huge issue for me, hence why I recommend it. But you know, some people might dislike that the wrapping would come loose and you'd have to come wrap it with something else. And another thing is there was actually a spot of rust on here when I first got this sword. Here on the sides, there's a little bit more rust on here because I have been away from home for a few days and I forgot to wet it. But other than that, so I have to clean it anyway. But other than that, if you really care about rust and you really don't want any rust on your sword, there was already rust on the sword when I first got it. So that's a downside as well. On the other hand, the sword is actually very good. I quite quickly noticed when trying it out that I was with this particular sword not gonna do any full contact longsword sparring. Quite simply because the gloves are too big for me to be able to wield a sword with a grip that is this short. And I purposefully got a grip that is this short. There's also Fabri Armorum swords that have longer grips and longer blades and just longer in general. This is a hand-and-a-half sword, you know, a bastard sword. I purposefully got it because I wanted a shorter longsword. But the grip is too short for me to be able to wield the sword whilst wearing my HEMA gloves. So I can't do any full contact sparring with the sword, but I can tell by wielding other weapons from Fabri Armorum, like my Messer, which has withstand a lot of abuse already, that it will hold up no matter what, that other sorts of them will hold up as well. Now another thing that I want to say is that because I did do some light sparring with it, some unarmored sparring, something happened during one of the little scuffles I had. I was sparring with my friend Deflon and I tackled him, I sweeped his leg. Now, as you can see here on the footage, because I filmed it, is my guard got stuck behind Deflon's back, and as I sweeped him, he was holding my arm. The point of my sword got stuck on the floor, and the sword bent quite a bit during impact. Now, the sword was bent a little bit, but I just put it under my foot and I was able to bend it back very easily, and it's straight again now. Now, this is not a sword that is particularly made for HEMA, because HEMA swords tend to be a little bit more flexible and they spring back easier just for the sake of safety. But actually, I was very happy to see this amount of flexibility on a sword, which you would say is a reenactment sword, because Lots of reenactment swords are actually incredibly stiff, and I don't like that a lot. You know, I don't want to exclude thrust simply because of safety, which some reenactments do, and but I do want to see a little bit flex if possible. But then if your sword bends and it flexes and it stays bent, for you to be able to bend it back easily is of course very preferable. Because I've also had swords that bend or get a weird nick in them off to the side, and I'm just unable to bend it back, which is of course very sad. So I was happy with the amount of flex. It is not as much as you would see on a HEMA sword. It is not as much as would be considered safe, but it's a lot safer than many other reenactment swords that I've seen, and I was able to bend it back very easily. So I was happy with that as well. Now another thing to note is this pommel. Not talking about shape, but how it is secured, or how the blade and the grip is secured. I don't know if the camera picks this up, but you see there's a discolored stripe here, like a yellow goldish stripe. You see that? That is not a historical way of securing a pommel, or just a grip in general. It looks like it's beamed if you look at the top, but it's not. After a long time of searching and translating things and miscommunications and translating errors and whoa, language barriers, I eventually found out that this way of securing things, securing pieces of metal, is called bracing. And that might still be wrong, but I think it's called bracing. Anyway, historically pommels were never secured this way. If you would go for a peen pommel, which most swords were and most reconstruction swords also have these days, a peen pommel has as an upside that if it gets loose, if something starts rattling in the guard, then a peen pommel is actually quite easy to tighten again. All you have to do is really just tap that with a hammer, just smack it, and the entirety of the grip will kind of just tighten itself again, and then the rattle would stop. If this gets loose, there really is no way for me to fix it myself. I would have to send it back, which on a sword of this quality wouldn't probably be worth it. Wouldn't be worth the time or the money or the effort. But if you have like a custom ordered sword, you could do that. It does say on the website that they do have like a It does say on their site that if you have problems with your sword, if it breaks, you can send it back and they will fix it for you. But I will take from my metalworking friend, who said that this way of securing pieces of metal is way safer than anything that they historically did. So the likeliness of this getting loose is a lot smaller than it would be on a peen pommel or any other kind of grip, but it is not historical. And if you want to be fully historical, then this of course doesn't work in a reenactment. So that should be noted as well. That being said though, I am very happy with this. And again, if you want to have an affordable sword that is not amazing, just being fair, it's not amazing, but it functions very well for an affordable price. You want something that is sword shape rather than fader shape or whatever bullshit. I don't know why so many people hate faders. But anyway, Fabri Armorum is a good place to go. That's basically what I wanted to say. So, if you stuck around this long, you might as well subscribe. Also follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. And thank you for joining my quest, and hope you'll join me in the next one. Bye guys. Ik weet niet of het testen. Ja.
the